Hey YouTube, this is going to be more of a fantasy type of creative video. Feel free to share your thoughts below. But this is just the question upon us of which, if you could have any type of home, your dream home, a fantasy home, and fantasy property, the ultimate, if you could think the farthest you could think, and if you could just open up the expanses of what you think is possible, or even though right now you don't have the means to do any of this, let's just say you had unlimited resources. Unlimited. What kind of place would you live? Where would you live? What kind of dwelling would it be? And how would you go about living there? I got thinking about it, and even this is probably somewhat limited. I only thought about it for a little while I was doing other things last night. This is going to be my fantasy dream home in a very generic sense. I'd have to sit down and really refine this more, but I thought, in a rural area of the United States, preferably not too far to the east, not too far to the west, but maybe somewhere in the middle, and not too north, but not too south either. I don't want cold or hot. Somewhere that's kind of the most temperate of all temperate areas. And I would love to have at least 1,000 acres of nice, beautiful woodland area, and have streams and brooks and lakes, and ponds on the property. And toward the middle of the property, that would be all fenced in, and have all kinds of various different types of security apparatus. So it would be difficult to go undetected to get to my dwelling. But my dwelling would be surrounded by a moat. It would have a very large, traditional, medieval type of castle look. In fact, it would be a castle. And in the castle, you would have various rooms to do various things. And I would have various collections of various gear. Like, have a whole room dedicated to blades or edged weapons, and another room dedicated as a library. Another room would be dedicated to water purification, and like every room would have its own category. So there would be, possibly 20 to 30 rooms that would be just dedicated specifically toward, preparation and bushcrafting and any of my other interests and hobbies outside of that. Now, in this particular castle, though, there would be access ways underground, bunkers, in fact, maybe one or two just under the castle, but they would also have connective tunnels away from the castle. So if I had to leave and egress, and other parts of the property would have other, bunkers or redundancies, places that you could go and have stores of supplies. And there would be a couple other small, like, cabins as well that I'd place strategically around the property. And I'd have a helicopter pad and a shooting range. I'd have massive gardens, probably 4 or 5 massive gardens spread out through the property, and try to grow a great diversity of food. And that's pretty much what I thought about. I know it's fairly generic, but I think it does pretty much highlight, a really fun and interesting thing that if you could live like that. Of course, I'd have some very cool vehicles that right now would only be a dream, but it wouldn't be that big of a deal right now to think about vehicles. It would just be so cool to actually have a place that would be so remote and so removed. Oh yeah, also I would have my own self-sufficient type of energy source too. I'd probably have at least 3 different means of collecting energy, probably a solar field or a solar farm to collect energy that way, in a very large battery bank. And secondly, I'd have a series of generators and a large gas supply. And third, I'd probably have some type of wind turbines, or maybe a geothermal type of power supply, or something else, maybe things that I don't know about. But I'd have at least 3, and one of those 3 would have to be renewable by Mother Nature, for long-term use. So that's my pick. I'd be interested to hear about your pick. How would you live if you had unlimited resources? Thanks for watching.